Good morning everyone from Landhaus Ettenbühl with John this morning. Long promised video on climate change. We always had to postpone it. So great that you made it here through all the snow and ice and everything. John, climate change. I think it's a very good opportunity today in the snow and weather and ice to talk about it, isn't it? Even it's a little chilly.
It is, and you're absolutely right. The whole point about climate change is extremes. 2 years ago, I would have been here and I would have been advocating cutting all these roses back to that sort of a height and leaving the whole bed in nice, neat condition.
In autumn.
In the autumn.
Yeah.
The fear is that if you do that, particularly with these types of roses, they will immediately send out young shoots like this.
Yeah, you can see the young shoot by its red color, right?
Precisely.
So,
yeah,
and this is the growth from September, October?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And you can see it quite clearly on most of these plants.
Yeah.
The fear is not actually that this gets frozen. The fear is that we have this extraordinary stop-start situation where the jet stream changes and we bring up warm air from Spain. Yeah. It suddenly becomes 10 degrees and these things start to grow. And what happens is the sap runs up and down, and then 2 weeks later we get another cold snap, -9, -10. And then the whole plant dies, not just the tips of these things, but the whole thing.
Because it's stimulated by you pruning it so late.
Exactly.
And then it's full of sap.
Yeah.
And then it just freezes down to into the root, most probably even.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, even with our deeper planting method, it's at risk. And so it looks very unsightly and you think, oh gosh, but actually it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you know, one worries that these stems are going to break in the snow. Well, they don't. I mean, they do that and then they come back again.
Even now with this ice, you know, they are crisp as...
Yeah, quite. But what's happening is that the very cold weather is making this dormant. Yeah. And it's that dormancy we want. Because it's...
Exactly.
And so it goes against all our traditions. I mean, as gardeners, we love our traditions. We hold on to them. We know exactly when to plant our potatoes and exactly when to do the autumn pruning of the roses. All of that has gone.
Okay, so you can't work to a schedule anymore.
Nope.
Not to all these nice old rules which gave us comfort in our gardens.
Exactly.
All over, done with.
I'm afraid so. And you look out of the window and your garden's a mess. The neighbours walk by and they laugh and they think, ha ha, they haven't done their gardening. Yeah. But actually, I'm afraid this is the new approach which will enable us to continue to grow the plants we love.
So, and you only handle the roses like this, or do you also, you know, that's also true for your shrubs, for your herbaceous plants, for...
I'm afraid so. I mean, the shrubs are a much harder proposition and tend not to shoot again after pruning. Okay. But the herbaceous plants, they need that covering of old dead leaves to protect them. If you go and cut all that away, and then it suddenly gets warmer, then they'll start to move. And when they do that, they're then at risk of a late frost. I'm talking about sort of awful frosts that come like at the end of February, you know.
So that means, you know, these guys out there, they just have to live with their untidy gardens in autumn and winter, and they have to have the self-confidence to stand up to their neighbors and say, well, that's the new reality of gardens, you know, our plants, they don't suffer during the winter. If you just leave them like this, the herbaceous is happy, the roses are happy, so that's what you recommend. Yeah,
I mean, what I recommend is do nothing.
Okay.
You know, light the fire.
Be lazy. Enjoy your book in front of the fire.
Quite. But honestly, you can see straight away that it's this sort of... You can see that this is already dead from the frost. See? It's going. It looks okay, but it's going to die.
Okay, so yeah, that's what would have been my next question. You know, well, we expect 10 degrees next week. You know,
Yeah.
so the thermometer is just going up, ready for Christmas. No white Christmas, but so what? So what's going to happen with all these young shoots then? You know, when they get defrosted by these warmer temperatures then?
Well, the hope is that because it can only grow at the tip, that it can only grow at the tip. It won't be sending out shoots at the side. And the hope is that because it's become so cold, will actually start now to become dormant.
Yeah.
So the trick, as awful as it may seem, do nothing. And if you've got a flower on it, like this little person here, so much the better. Leave it.
Okay, so even if it's defrosted now, just leave it until spring when it's no frost expected anymore, or how long would you just not touch them?
Well, that's the next thing. You've got to hold your nerve.
Okay.
And you've got to look very closely at what the sort of weather pattern forecasting is.
Yeah.
And I would think March would be a much safer bet than February.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Up to now, we were always recommending, you know, to people
Forsythia blooms.
You know, wait till the Forsythia. So, is that still true?
No, but but I think you know there has to be a point at which you
well, it's still an indicator. I would
it's the
think,
best indicator.
But you are not safe even after when the Forsythia are in bloom. They still can have a big frost afterwards, but that's tough luck then, right?
Well, I mean, you have to take the chance sooner or later. I would, but it goes against everything that we've been taught. But unfortunately, it's the new reality.
Yeah. So what these guys, I'm sure, want to also know today whilst you're here, let's jump into a little bit more like in the summertime. You know? Because climate change is not only affecting us in winter, it's also doing a lot to your roses, for example, in the summer. So there was a big article in The Guardian. We don't have to go into depth there, but for example, David Austin has sort of kicked out a lot of his really nice roses, which were very dear to us for a long time, like Mary Rose, Monsterwood, saying, oh, you know, they are not good in this climate change conditions anymore. They get fungus and everything. So do you experience the same in your roses? Are you kicking out roses off your bread?
If I do, it's actually for those reasons, which is perfectly correct. But they shouldn't have been selected in the first place, is the next question. But it is so. I mean, there are roses like New Dawn, for example, which for many, many years has been one of the staple repeat flowering ramblers. And we now find that it's more susceptible to rust than it used to be. And so therefore it's one that I'm less and less suggesting to people to have, which is a sadness because it's a great rose. But
and are there other roses, like also old roses, like Gallicas or Albas or other roses where you would say, well, you have witnessed, you know, during the last years of climate change in the rose and you wouldn't grow them anymore? Or are the old roses not affected from that at all?
Well, there are some that suffer. We don't actually have them in our selection. But the criteria to it actually is not so much that the rose itself is susceptible to disease, is that we've made it so. And the reason we've made it so is because we love our hose pipe too much and we love our artificial dunga too much. And I mean, this is a whole subject in itself of how to control the borders in the summer months, but a lot of the blame is not on the rose, it's on us.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that's a nice keyword. You know, we could go for another video in the summer about climate change. But you actually, and I find that idea very, very good. John offered to make a course in March. I think it's 11th of March 23. about climate change.
Quite.
Here at Landhaus Ettenbühl, you know, when the borders are still not really done and there's a lot of pruning to be done and all these things. And, you know, you show then how to deal with the roses under climate change circumstances and how to treat them, especially fungus control for the year due to not watering too much and all these things. So this is maybe, if you want to save the date, March 23, no, 11th of March in 23.
Yeah.
So this is a nice one. And I'm sure, you know, for the ones who are far away from us and can't come here, we will do also a little video course on that subject, because I think it's really very, very important, you know, to get this climate change thinking in, you know, because it really saves the roses, and you know, people have still fun with their roses even under this different and difficult circumstances.
No, you're quite right. I mean, you know, we have to have a different approach in the summer as well. And if we do, we can actually we can get through it.
Okay, so I would propose either we go a little bit of ice skating down there on the pond, but I think it won't hold us.
I was thinking of a snowball fight.
No, come on, let's go inside and have a cup of tea or coffee at the fireplace.
But meanwhile, happy Christmas to everybody.
Yeah, happy Christmas to everyone, and see you next year. In January we will be back with another subject here on the channel, and you know, if you don't want to miss anything, just click the bell and then you get always an invitation to see and watch this video. So have a nice time. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.